Hello everyone, my name is Rose, and today I feel quite inspired to talk about a topic that has been on my mind for a long time: the journey of my early 20s to find, grow into, and maintain my inner peace and authentic self. Why is it important? I'm gonna put a comparison of my 21-year-old self and my current 27-year-old self in the celebration of being 28 in 2 weeks. I'm very grateful that I'm in this phase of life where I have a really good relationship with my parents. I'm in a very loving, supportive relationship with my partner and friends. I'm in a job that I care about and see purpose in. And I have hobbies that I'm very passionate about. I think this slice of life is special to me, and I hope that these lessons are relatable and useful for anyone who watching this video, and to my future self. When I'm in a different stage of life, I can rewatch this and see if they are still valid. So let's get started. I think the first lesson and also the foundation of, finding yourself, your authentic self, is to recognizing the importance of doing so. In my early 20s, there was a feeling that was quite present in me, which was a sense of powerless and purposeless. So I felt that the world was rather confusing and chaotic. All the things that need to be changed were quite impossible to change. All the things that need to be founded have already been founded. People were greedy, people were nasty, we constantly were in wars, we learned no lessons from history. Yeah, it was a very depressing view to have. But that changed once I was exposed to a lot of beautiful philosophical world of both ancient and modern thinkers. Some of those are, Bretman Richard or Richard Bretman, Bertrand Russell and Carl Jung. They are the sort of philosophers and thinkers that believe in the goodness of humanity and the potential of human race. And for me, at that point, I recognized that the will to believe in a grand narrative is more important than the will to doubt, in order to balance my life and get me out of that pit of, depressing perception of the world. So I started to choose to believe in that. And all of them kind of guide you in the same direction. In order to maximize your potential, you have to believe in your authentic self, and in order to believe in that self, you have to find it. And the good kind of compass to guide you to navigate that path, that journey, is the work of Carl Jung, which I will link as well in the description of this video. He talked a lot about our unconscious psyche, and there are 4 archetypes. I'm going to talk about the personas, which means that the thing that we present to the world almost like a mask, and the shadow, the thing that we repress but actually have a really strong grip of our actions and our thinking, our thought patterns. In this modern age, we are constantly exposed to social media, and we are constantly exposed to so many grand narratives. The need to present yourself both socially, like physically, in your real life, and virtually on social media, sometimes feel very overwhelming, especially for me in my early 20s. I think my personas were based on my roots of being Vietnamese, and think about, really felt that need for validation from big establishment and from society as a whole. I like the thing I was supposed to like. I show things that people appreciate and people value as, representations of a successful person. Everything changed when I moved to England. I felt that it was a very transformative moment for me, because I feel actually in England people don't really care about your personas. Some people do, most don't. You certainly have, this is very different from Vietnam, you certainly have that freedom to express yourself. And because of this freedom, I felt very liberating in the way I think. I got the chance to get exposed to my shadows, which is more the egoistic self, ambitious, driven, but also very defensive, compassionate, but also sensitive and demanding. Once I accepted these kind of traits about me, because I was exposed in situations where I was able to express them, I started to change. And once this change happened, it's important to move on to the second lesson. The second lesson is to facilitate your ability to recognize your responsibility in every situation, and also to be able to communicate, explain, and be patient with your intentions. I grew up in a society where modesty is really highly valued. People have a lot of proverbs to say that you shouldn't brace yourself. You should, keep your head down, keep moving along, let your achievement speak for you. So when I was in my teens, there was, well, maybe still now, there was this massive trend of love yourself, perhaps a trend to teach people how to be self-centered and put yourself first. I was heavily influenced by this trend, in a bad way, because I didn't need that. I didn't need to be taught to love myself. What I needed to be taught was how to love other people. When I was in my early 20s, whenever I experienced bad situations or had bad vibes about some people, I tended to look for the reasons in those situations or in those people, but rarely within me. And that was problematic, because when I place myself in that kind of objective position, the world is just bad and nasty, and people were just so unkind, and I was that sensitive, kind person who suffered. But once I realized that whenever I felt this kind of feeling towards other people, sometimes that I barely actually knew, it usually was because they trigger a part that were repressed in me, and trigger something that I was insecure about, and I immediately got defensive about it and blame it on them. Realizing this was transformative to me, to say the least. I started to be a lot calmer. I started to feel that it wasn't the world that was the problem, it was me. And it was a lot easier to change if I am the problem, because I have that capacity to realize and recognize my shadow, my personas. Recognizing your responsibility also is quite empowering, because you start feeling this, social responsibility to respond to social change. A lot, especially in the world that we live in now, is becoming more important than ever. And a lesson is to foster that ability to express yourself regardless of the forms, and be confident and proud of yourself. So, when I was younger, I loved writing. I really loved it. I wrote a lot of cheesy blogs. They weren't any good, but I loved them. But at the same time, I felt strongly the need for validation from other people. I was so afraid that what I wrote wouldn't be liked. I took, Instagrams and Facebook lives very literally, and I felt quite unaccomplished as a writer. Right now, they don't really matter to me anymore. I see validation and people appreciation of my writing or of my arts. Perhaps the byproduct is so nice if people feel that they can relate to them, if they love them. It's amazing. if they don't, I already achieved the means of expressing myself, and that was what important. Another thing that was quite useful in helping with my self-confidence and establishing my self-belief and esteem in my ability to learn and express myself is learning new languages. I can speak 4 languages, not all fluently, but to a certain level. Mình có thể nói tiếng Việt bởi vì mình là người Việt Nam, và mình nghĩ là tiếng Việt là một cái ngôn ngữ rất là đẹp và thú vị. And I can also speak English quite well because I have been quite invested in English linguistics my whole life. 我也会说中文，因为在大学的时候，我朋友都是中国人。现在我们有好多机会用中文，但是后来我希望当我来中国旅行时候可以用中文聊天，可以用中文说话，这样。Io anche posso parlare italiano. Ho iniziato a studiare un anno fa. In italiano è anche una lingua bella, ma in Italia penso che le persone parlano troppo velocemente per me. Ecco perché di solito senso che è un po' stressante per parlare italiano in Italia, ma spesso in alcuni mesi posso di più fluentemente in italiano. Sì, così. So learning languages and be able to understand the way my brain works around them has been really helpful for me to find the motivation to do everything else, because I know for a fact that as long as I put my efforts in, I'm gonna receive a result. I think this is the end of the video. I didn't expect it to be this long. I expected it to be a spur of the moment, but it was quite fun to create this, and hopefully I would have the motivation to do more. Bye bye everyone and future self. See you later.